The air hangs heavy, thick with smoke. The sun, a malevolent red disk, glares through the haze. The once fertile fields are now cracked and barren, monuments to a dying earth. This is not a scene from a dystopian film. This is the future that awaits Indonesia. The Indonesian Agency for Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysics, BMKG, has issued a stark warning. Starting April 2025, the archipelago will face a new wave of extreme weather events, far surpassing anything in recent memory. This is not just climate change. This is climate chaos. The transition from the cooling La Niña phase to a neutral El Niño Southern Oscillation ENSO is upon us. While this shift might sound benign, its effects will be anything but. Brace yourselves, for the land of eternal summer is about to experience a heat unlike any other. For the past few years, the La Niña phenomenon has cast a protective veil over Indonesia. Increased rainfall brought relief from the scorching heat and kept the threat of forest fires at bay. This period of relative stability is now over. The ENSO cycle, a natural climate pattern, is shifting towards a neutral phase. This means the cooling influence of La Niña is waning. As the Pacific Ocean warms, Indonesia will bear the brunt of the changing climate. This shift is not merely a scientific curiosity, it is a harbinger of disaster. Already, across the archipelago, temperatures are beginning to soar. The once predictable monsoons are faltering. The stage is set for a cascade of devastating consequences. The most immediate and devastating impact of the ENSO shift will be the onset of severe drought. With rainfall patterns disrupted, vast swaths of Indonesia will experience an unprecedented water crisis. The lifeblood of the nation, its rivers and reservoirs, will dwindle to a trickle. Projections paint a grim picture. East Java, Indonesia's agricultural heartland, is predicted to be 70% affected by drought. Imagine, once fertile rice paddies transformed into cracked and barren wastelands. The consequences for Indonesia's people will be dire. Water shortages will become commonplace, leading to conflict and displacement. The rural poor, already vulnerable, will be pushed further into poverty. Section 4. Fields of Despair. The Collapse of Agriculture. The drought will be a death knell for Indonesian agriculture. With water scarce and temperatures soaring, crops will wither and die in the fields. Farmers, the backbone of the Indonesian economy, will face ruin. The impact on rice production, the staple food of millions, will be catastrophic. Experts predict a potential loss of 1.2 million tons of rice, pushing prices up by a staggering 25%. Food security, once a given, will become a luxury few can afford. But it is not just rice that is at risk. Across the archipelago, from the coffee plantations of Sumatra to the cocoa farms of Sulawesi, crops will fail. The livelihoods of millions hang in the balance. Section 5. Burning Skies, the Return of the Haze. As the land parches and temperatures soar, another threat will emerge from the ashes: forest fires. Indonesia's peatlands, once carbon sinks, will transform into tinderboxes. The slightest spark, whether accidental or deliberate, will be enough to ignite an inferno. Already, predictions estimate that over 500 hectares of Kalimantan's forests are at high risk of burning. The resulting haze, a toxic cocktail of smoke and pollutants, will choke the skies, turning day into night. The consequences will be felt far beyond Indonesia's borders. Neighboring countries will once again choke on the haze, leading to diplomatic tensions and economic losses. The global climate will suffer another blow as massive amounts of carbon are released into the atmosphere. Section 6. A Nation on the Brink. Health and Energy Under Threat. The combined impacts of drought, heat, and haze will push Indonesia's health and energy systems to the brink. Hospitals will be overwhelmed with cases of heat stroke, respiratory illnesses, and other climate-related diseases. The most vulnerable, The elderly and the young will bear the brunt of this crisis. The energy sector, already strained, will face unprecedented challenges. Hydropower, a key source of electricity, will be crippled as reservoirs run dry. Blackouts, already a recurring problem, will become more frequent and widespread. Imagine hospitals without power, unable to treat the sick and dying. Imagine cities plunged into darkness, their economies grinding to a halt. This is not hyperbole. This is the reality that awaits Indonesia. Section 7. A time for action, mitigation, and the fight for survival. The future painted by the BMKG is bleak, but it is not inevitable. There is still time to act, to mitigate the worst impacts of the coming crisis, and chart a new course for Indonesia. The BMKG has issued a series of recommendations, urging immediate action. Farmers are advised to switch to drought-resistant crops. Local governments are instructed to wet peatlands and prepare for fire outbreaks. The public is urged to monitor the InnoRisk app for real-time updates on hazards. But this is not just the responsibility of the government. This is a call to action for all Indonesians. We must come together as a nation to demand action from our leaders, to support our farmers, and to protect the most vulnerable among us. The time for complacency is over. The future of Indonesia hangs in the balance. The choices we make today will determine whether we succumb to the flames or rise from the ashes.